This essay is about it's about two um, insights that I've had once back in the early '70s and now in the mid-teens and the 21st century. Um, One had to do with Watergate, and the other one had to do with essentially Trumpgate. And months and months ago, I was talking about the parallels between Watergate and Trumpgate. And most of the talking heads on television, people in the news profession, and politicians were dissing the notion that there's any parallel between Watergate and Trumpgate. And George Santayana said, if you don't remember the past, you're doomed to repeat it. And now there are people now are saying, oh yeah, maybe there is some parallels. And so what's interesting is that if you look at Leon Jaworski, who is kind of the parallel to Robert Mueller, and and I didn't know this until I was doing some research on it. His nickname is Leon. That is not the actual name on his birth certificate. It's Leonidas. Leonidas was a Spartan king at the Battle of Thermopylae that held off hundreds of thousands of Persians under the leadership of Xerxes I. And he held them off at this small pass called Thermopylae between the mountains and the ocean. And the 700 or the 300 Spartans and a couple hundred other Greeks held off this huge army because they couldn't get through this pass because it was so narrow that a couple hundred people could hold them off for a long time. And it held them off long enough to for the Greeks to mount a naval war with battle with Xerxes and defeated him. But of all the battles in the Western world, the single most important battle that kept the Western world, its insight and its knowledge base and way of thinking, way of processing things, was the Battle of Thermopylae. And Leonidas was a Spartan king that saved that saved the Western world. And Robert Mueller is doing precisely the same thing as Jaworski did in Watergate. And I'm absolutely convinced that it won't be, I am sure that Trump is not going to make it through 4 years of his first term. Period, new paragraph. And this is the distressing thing. I remember back since the break-in in Watergate until the time he resigned, Nixon went about exactly the way Trump is. In the sense there's no nonsense, and you had to get up every morning, turn the news on, read it in the newspaper, something dumb Nixon said about being innocent, people coming lying for him. And we're going to have to go through that again. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There was light at the end of the tunnel during Watergate. There was light at the end of the tunnel with Trumpgate. And we are at least halfway through the tunnel now. And the clock is ticking for Donald the Dumb. Arrogant narcissist. But thus endeth my rant for today about Donald the Dumb. But it is forget Donald the Dumb. It is important for each one of us to be honest. Don't lie, because people learn about you, and they also learn, if they want to follow you, how to live their lives. I know people that puff themselves up and say, I'm honest, I'm a good person, I will never do anything, I'll never do this. And when the rubber hits the road, they're the first one to lie. Donald the Dumb is the architect, or the archetype, of that kind of personality. We have to change that, because we're teaching our children how to behave in the next generation. So the 30% of the people who are still backing Donald the Dumb, one, they have to understand that Donald the Dumb his clock is ticking. He's not going to be around for his 4 years. And in a way, that is not the major issue. The major issue is, what are you teaching your children? How to function the next generation, because there's been Watergate and there is Trumpgate, but there'll be something else. And we need to avoid those mistakes. And as George Santayana says, unless you learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it again in the future. That's the end of my rant for the night. You take care. And thanks for watching this video and reading this essay.